There's a new class of drug so powerful, it's not just changing people's bodies. It's quietly rewiring one of the biggest industries on Earth, the food business. By one estimate, weight loss drugs could erase up to $55 billion in food and drink sales a year. Executives at snack and soda companies are reportedly so worried they've been calling the drug makers directly, asking essentially how scared should we be. And behind those drugs is a war worth $100 billion between two companies. One built this entire industry and is now fighting to survive it. The other came from behind and is now winning. This is the story of the little injection that's shaking Wall Street, terrifying Coca-Cola, and rewriting how the world eats. First, the basics. Kept simple. These medicines are called GLP-1 drugs. You've heard the brand names Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound. They were originally built for type 2 diabetes, but they had a powerful side effect. They dramatically reduce appetite. People on them simply feel full, faster, and think about food far less. And that one effect is the entire reason the food industry is nervous. The demand has been staggering. Analysts now expect this market to be worth close to $100 billion a year within the decade. That's not a niche medicine. That's one of the most valuable product categories on the planet. And whoever controls it stands to make a fortune, which is exactly why two giant companies are locked in a brutal fight for it. To understand the war, meet the company that started it all, Novo Nordisk, a Danish drug maker that invented this category with Ozempic and Wegovy. For a while, it was the most valuable company in all of Europe, and then it fell. Hard. At its peak, Novo Nordisk was worth a fortune, but over the following period, its stock lost roughly 3/4 of its value from the top, one of the most brutal falls a major drug company has seen in years. At one point, it was down over 40% in a single year. What went wrong? A pileup. Cheaper copycat versions flooded the U.S. market. A key next-generation drug disappointed in trials. Prices got cut in a brutal war. And most importantly, a rival came for its crown. Here's how sharp the reversal is. Novo Nordisk invented this market and now holds only about 40% of it. Its rival holds around 60%. The pioneer is losing to the challenger on the very product it created. For a company that was recently Europe's crown jewel, that's a stunning fall from grace. So who's the rival? An American giant? Eli Lilly. Its weight loss drugs, Mounjaro and Zepbound, came later, but hit harder. In trials, Lilly's drug produced greater weight loss than Novo's, and that edge translated into massive market share. While Novo collapsed, Lilly soared. Over roughly the same stretch that Novo fell about 40%, Lilly rose around 40%. Two companies, same industry, opposite directions. Lilly's weight loss and heart health division pulled in nearly $40 billion in a single year. The stock hit all-time highs. And analysts are now openly asking whether Eli Lilly could become the first healthcare company on Earth worth $2 trillion. From a business standpoint, it's one of the great comebacks, arriving second in a market and taking the lead. But here's the twist. Novo Nordisk isn't dead. It's fighting back, on multiple fronts at once. It just launched a pill version of its blockbuster drug, so patients can swallow it instead of injecting. It won approval to treat a serious liver disease, opening a whole new market. And in just the last month, its battered stock jumped more than 20% as investors started to believe the comeback might be real. This is the part that makes the war so interesting. The market is now racing toward pills instead of injections. Cheaper, easier, no needles. Whoever wins the pill race could win the next decade. So it's not over. The pioneer is wounded, but swinging, and the prize keeps getting bigger. Now for the part almost nobody saw coming, because while two drug companies fight over $100 billion, there's a much bigger industry in the blast radius: food. Think about it. These drugs work by killing appetite, and an entire global business, snacks, soda, fast food, desserts, is built on the exact opposite. Getting you to eat more than you need. And the data is already showing up. Studies find that people on these drugs eat around 21% fewer calories. They spend nearly a third less at the grocery store. Sales of salty snacks have dropped about 10% among users. Soda and alcohol down as much as 66%. One bank, JP Morgan, estimates that as these drugs spread, they could wipe out $30 to $55 billion in food and drink sales every year by 2030. And it's not just the grocery store. Look at alcohol. The damage there is already showing. U.S. spirit sales recently fell more than 15%. Big tequila brands owned by the world's largest liquor companies saw sales drop 20 to 30%. Some of that is a broader move away from drinking. But these appetite-suppressing drugs are pouring fuel on the fire because they quiet the craving for alcohol, too. When a single medicine can dent both the snack aisle and the liquor shelf, you understand why so many boardrooms are nervous. The food giants know it. The CEO of Novo Nordisk said that food company executives were so scared, they were calling him personally for advice on how to survive. And they're scrambling to adapt. Companies are slapping GLP-1-friendly labels on packaging. Pushing high-protein, smaller portion products, fast food chains are testing lighter menus. An entire industry is quietly redesigning itself around a drug. And the ripple keeps spreading into places you'd never expect. Restaurants are feeling it. One consulting firm estimates these drugs could mean 3 billion fewer restaurant meals a year by 2030, putting tens of billions in dining spending at risk. Fast food takes the hardest hit, while some sit-down restaurants actually do better, as users trade quick junk for a nicer meal out. It even reaches further. Reports suggest lighter passengers are trimming airline fuel costs, and clothing brands are seeing customers refresh their entire wardrobes as their bodies change. One drug class, rippling through the whole economy. Now, before we declare the death of the snack, some honesty. This isn't an overnight apocalypse for food companies. Only a fraction of people take these drugs so far. They're still expensive. Many users stop within a year, and people don't stop eating. They shift. More protein, more yogurt, more fresh food. So the food industry doesn't vanish. It changes shape. The money moves from chips and soda to protein bars and high-fiber snacks. And the smart food companies won't just lose. They'll adapt and sell the new thing. The ones that don't adapt are the ones in real danger. That's the honest picture. Not a collapse, but the biggest forced reinvention the food industry has faced in a generation. So step back and look at the whole board. One class of drugs has created a $100 billion war between two pharma giants, toppling a king, crowning a rival, and now facing a comeback. And at the same time, it's quietly forcing the entire food industry to reinvent itself or die. That's the power of a single medical breakthrough. It doesn't just change health. It moves hundreds of billions of dollars across industries that seem completely unrelated. Pharma, groceries, fast food, even alcohol. So here's the real question. Are we watching the healthiest disruption in modern business, or the beginning of the end for the junk food empire as we know it? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you like the money stories behind the biggest shifts on Earth, calmly without the hype, subscribe. Quick note, this is business analysis, not medical or financial advice. I'll see you in the next one.